In March 1988, while he was still on the road, Michael Jackson finalized the purchase of his new home, a 2,700-acre estate in the Santa Ynez Valley they called Sycamore Ranch. He had become enchanted by the ranch when he stayed there during the time he and Paul McCartney filmed the Say 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 video in Santa Ynez. Paul had leased the home for the duration of his wife and Linda's stay. At Sycamore Ranch, there would be plenty of room for Michael's menagerie. An important consideration and the location was far enough for Machino to guarantee space between Michael and his pesky family members. The property was owned by developer William Bone, who had spent many years and a fortune building to his specifications. The main house was 13,000 square feet. The asking price was $35 million furnished, or $32.5 million unfurnished. Buckle toward the estate by horse-drawn carriage provided by Bone. John Braga had advised Michael that from a business standpoint, the ranch was not a good investment. Michael wanted offering 50% of the asking price, but even so, the resale opportunities will be limited. There are not many buyers for a 2,700-acre ranch that cost $17 million. John wrote Michael a letter and told him that if he really wanted to buy the ranch, he shouldn't so with any future profit motive. He felt it would be a more sensible idea to purchase the property that was used once as the estate in the Beverly Hills Hillbillies television show. He also suggested that Michael buy the surrounding property, demolish the houses that were there, and then he would have 5 acres of property to do what he pleased. Michael couldn't understand why he should sell for only 5 acres when he could have almost 3,000. When used to visit Paul McCartney, he was always impressed with Michael's sumptuous acres and acres of verdant property. My guess expects something grand. Michael told John, it's gonna look like I've made it big because I have. A difficult and lengthy negotiation with William Bone ensued because John was determined to secure the best possible deal for Michael. However, Michael was impatient. He called John 3 times a day, prodding him on. Finally, Michael decided that John really did not want him to have the property, that his stomach could lose their deal altogether. He became angry. He wanted the estate, and that's all he wanted. He went right off the deep end over it, and reportedly asked another of the attorneys that John's law firm to break into John's office and steal the file in Sycamore Ranch, and then get to work on closing the deal. Of course, the lawyer didn't do it and in fact informed John, who was astonished. He telephoned Michael and asked he could think to do something so terrible. Because I think you don't want me to spend too much money. Like I said in his own defense, you don't want me to have the ranch. John told him he was right. He didn't think Michael would make the purchase. However, he intended to follow Michael's wishes anyway. He hoped that Michael would never again pull a stunt like that. John was genuinely hurt by it, but it was also showed him how irrational Michael could be at times. Not that he needed further proof of this fact. At the last minute, William Bone began having second thoughts about selling the ranch to Michael. He said that he didn't want to lose his emotional connection to the property. He treasured it that much. More than likely, he realized that he was losing a lot of money and was getting cold feet about it. John submitted an offer of $15 million, which was not accepted. After a series of counteroffers, Michael's final offer of $17 million was accepted. Certainly a letdown for Bone, considering his $35 million asking price. Why William Bone took such a loss is still an open question, except that he may have just wanted out of Sycamore Ranch. Michael also got out of the furnishings and 88th and 19th century antiques as part of the purchase. A fully stocked wine cellar went along with the deal, because Bones started causing a fuss, and John knew that if he lost the deal, Michael would become a real liability in his life. He came up with a clause in the sales agreement that allowed Bones to spend 1 week of every year at the ranch for the next 3 years, subject to Michael's schedule. Therefore, Bone wouldn't feel that he was using the property entirely. The sale was concluded successfully. The press reported that Michael paid $28 million for the estate, which was fun of Michael for obvious reasons. The first thing Michael did was change the name of the ranch to Neverland Valley, though it was usually called simply Neverland. When Michael had to conduct business in Los Angeles, he would stay in a condominium he leased in Westwood, which he called his hideout. Otherwise, he would stay at Neverland and never again at Havenhurst. Leaving his parents' home was obviously a big deal for Michael. He was sad to leave his mother, but eager to view Joseph as someone to whom he no longer had any responsibility. Still, he could actually face them with the news. In fact, he didn't tell him anything about his negotiation for Neverland Valley, nor did he tell them when it was purchased. Catherine and Joseph found out that Michael was leaving Havenhurst while watching the American television program Entertainment Tonight. Panicked, Catherine telephoned Marlon to ask him if he knew anything about it. Marlon then called Michael. Michael said it wasn't true. Apparently, Michael didn't want anyone to know what he was up to. Lest they all came upon him to talk him out of it, which they definitely would have done. The next day, Michael instructed certain employees of his to go to the ancient home and take from to the possessions he now wanted at Neverland. I was waiting for Michael to come to us and say something, Joseph said, sadly, but he never did. A few weeks later, Michael hosted a housewarming party for his relatives, but he did not invite Joseph or Catherine. That hurt us both, Joseph recalled. We seen a lot from that boy, but there was really something he couldn't figure out. I don't know why he would be so hurtful to us, and especially to Kate. I couldn't understand it, he said. As it happened, Michael's name was not in the original purchase agreement for the estate. Rather, the agreement was signed by his lawyer John Brackett and his accountant Marshall Gelfand. All at Michael's instruction, he told them that he didn't want anyone to be able to check public records of property ownership and figure out where he lived. Marshall suggested that a trust be set up with himself and John as trustees. Michael owned the trust and could fire both men at any time. The two could do nothing with the property without his permission. To Michael, it was a good idea, but only for a couple of days. He's too insecure and maybe too paranoid to allow such a situation to exist very long. It was Bill Bray who had a talk with Michael about the property, stoking the fires. Many won't buy this place. They do, said Bill, being completely unreasonable and naive. You need to check this out, Michael. What's going to happen if they decide to kick your out? What you gonna do then, Michael? Huh? The next day, Michael called Marshall and demanded to know why he didn't own his own property. But you do own it, Marshall explained, as up as a trust. Michael, that's what you asked for. Well, I don't like it, Michael said curtly. I think it sounds fishy. Change it. I didn't spend all this time working on this negotiation to now not own the place. It's my house. Fine, we'll terminate the trust, Gilpin responded. It's done. Terminated. On April 11th, 1988, John Brigham and Marshall Griffin signed individual grant deeds during their turning over the property to Michael Jackson, thereby dissolving the trust. Michael hoped for a serene lifestyle in his new political estate. He said he needed space, a place to think, time off after the bad tour. However, his family now felt that he distanced himself from them geographically as well as emotionally. As such as they missed him, they're also worried about their futures without him. What could the Jacksons do without Michael? Not much. Joseph, Catherine, and brothers would think about another reunion tour, and it'll be a matter of time before they approach Michael with the idea. As what happened, the Victory Tour fiasco of 1984 would pale in comparison of what they had in mind. However, this time Michael would not be quite as accommodating.